Welcome to Living the Prayer of St. Francis. In this episode, we're going to explore how we relate to people who are asking for money on the street, people who are panhandlers. I know a little bit about this. I worked in homeless services full-time for about 21 years and have had many experiences of my own, kind of at a personal level, interacting with people who are asking for money on the streets. We've all seen signs to the effect of will work for food, need money for food, need money for gas, that kind of thing. I've seen on Facebook recently, and I'm speaking in November 2021, people expressing kind of angry skepticism about this. Folks seem to really feel like there's no way that somebody who wants money cannot earn it. In this episode, I'd like to explore reasons that we don't give money to panhandlers, what the panhandlers need, how we interact with them, if we choose to interact with them, what we need, and how we can help them if we choose to do that. What are the reasons that we might not want to give money to panhandlers? Well, we might think that they're not going to use it well, that even if they say they want money for food or for gas, they're going to use it for alcohol or illegal drugs. We might feel that we worked hard for our money, that our money is hard-earned, and we're not going to just give it away to somebody who looks like they're fully capable of earning money for themselves. We don't want to encourage people to panhandle. We think that they might be better off in social service programs, and that us giving them money might actually discourage them from going there. And also, we may not give because people may look scary, sometimes intimidating, sometimes a little crazy looking. I'm not saying that these viewpoints and perspectives are incorrect. However, I do say that there is more to this than meets the eye. So what do we do if we see a panhandler? I'm not proud to say that sometimes I just turn away, I pretend they're not there, or I might plaster kind of a fake smile on my face and go past them. In any event, not making any real connection with the folks. As a practical matter, to give myself and you a little slack, it may not be a reasonable thing to make connection with everybody, but I hope to provide some reasons as we go through this exploration why it might be good for us and for them to attempt those connections at least now and then. So who might these panhandlers be? You know, if we just look at people externally, a lot of folks look just kind of normal, maybe not too well dressed, but superficially anyway, we may feel they could work and that they choose not to, and we may judge them. I mean, the classic statement is, get a job, you lazy bum. Think about this. Why would somebody panhandle who could actually work? Well, some people are lazy. I say that from my own experience. I myself am lazy some of the time, but some folks don't want the responsibility of showing up for work and doing what other people tell them to do. Beyond that, if we look beneath the surface of the people who kind of superficially look like they could work, but who maybe are appearing to choose not to when they could, we might find people who have been neglected or abused as children, whose decision-making processes have been warped by those adverse childhood experiences, who have problems with mental health, chemical dependency, or both. Sometimes those are profoundly interrelated. We may be encountering somebody with a hidden disability, some incapacity that doesn't really show on the surface. If you look on the web, you'll see that hidden disabilities can include conditions like autism, chronic fatigue, sleeplessness that impacts day-to-day life, chronic pain, learning difficulties, sensory disabilities like with the eyes and the ears, respiratory conditions, chronic conditions like diabetes. So there's a lot going on that could limit somebody's ability to work, even if they look healthy. It is true that there is welfare. Sometimes people qualify for disability payments, and yet those payments are not a lot of money depending on a person's needs. Some of the folks we meet on the street as panhandlers or homeless people, or both, have been through experiences that would have killed you or me. Think about that. We don't know. But some people have lives that are so hard for so long, have been beaten down so often, that it's all they can do to hold out their hand and ask for help. So I encourage us not to judge. Sure, some of what people are offering, some of the stories they tell are BS, and yet we can go beyond that. And two, you might consider, is their BS any worse than yours? So what do people in these circumstances need? In my experience, what truly helps people often is a long-term program that may have a residential component and supports their healing and their development in body, mind, and spirit. People often don't like to be in such programs because of the structure they entail. And yet programs like that, there's a kind called permanent supportive housing, can be profoundly helpful to people. So one of the best things you can do for somebody is to inquire into whether they're getting that kind of support. But you know what precedes that? Just being treated with kindness and respect. A little bit of that goes a long way. And actually, I've seen this, even in small doses, utterly transform someone's life. So if the people on the street need kindness and respect, what do you need? Well, hopefully you're getting adequate doses, your minimum daily requirement of kindness and respect. But consider also that maybe you need to learn not to turn away from somebody who, for various reasons, you might want to turn away from. Now, I know that sometimes we need to set boundaries. Sometimes we don't want to or feel we can't connect with everybody. And yet, we also have a tendency to kind of do the easy thing, to turn away, to pretend that people just aren't there. And as I said, I've done that myself, so I'm not blaming others who have done that. If we're not prepared to give, it's easy to make the choice of not giving, not connecting, not providing people with kindness and respect. So I encourage you to give thought to how can you prepare yourself to give so that if you're in a situation where there's an opportunity to connect with somebody who can use some kindness and respect, you're in a position to give that comfortably. My foundational thought here is that the transaction of giving somebody $1 or a voucher or a brochure or a protein bar, that is just kind of the conduit. That's the portal. That's the means to the relationship. That's the opportunity for connection with the other person. So if somebody says or has a sign, we'll work for food, personally, after having gone back and forth on it, I carry some dollar bills with me. So I can give somebody $1 and say, here, I hope this helps you. And if they misuse it, that's on them. Certainly, some of the money I've paid in taxes and other ways that I've spent money has been no better than giving somebody $1 that they might use to buy a beer. The more important thing here, the life-changing prospect, is that human connection where the divine in you can witness the divine in them. There can be a sweet, although brief sometimes, connection. So if you can get into a position where you can say, hey, I hope this helps you. How are you doing? What's your life like if you get to know them that well? Sometimes when people have asked for food, will work for food, need money for food, I've said things like, well, let's get you some food right now. Is there a restaurant you like that's nearby? Now that kind of approach depends on your ability and willingness to buy somebody a meal. I found about 1 time in 10 that I offer that will people actually accept. But those 1 in 10 relationships have been really something. I met a guy who told me, and I believed him, that he had a PhD in math from MIT. He certainly talked like people I've known who've been high-level mathematicians. There's a kind of a perspective and intelligence in his eyes, and also a lot of pain. He was not mentally well. So as we had dinner together and talked about life, I was really grateful for that opportunity. I would say about 1 person in 2 has accepted my offer to buy them food when they are panhandling outside of a grocery store. And what I do there simply is to say, well, you'd like some food, what would you like? I'll be glad to go in and get it for you. And I do. I've seen people cry when they receive that food. Sometimes people really need it, and for whatever reason are not getting it someplace else. So in those instances that I just gave, obviously you see this is not an instance of giving somebody money that might be used in a way I might not feel comfortable with. Trying to meet the need directly in a way in which what I'm offering cannot be misused. But on the balance, I think it's better to give the $1 than just to turn away. Now, if you live in an area where homeless service agencies or other social service agencies will provide a voucher that you can give to somebody, and that the person then can turn that voucher in for something of value and worth to them, that's pretty optimal, I think, because you have the opportunity to give something. You have the opportunity to nudge somebody toward a program that could give them the long-term help that they might well need. The prayer of St. Francis is implicit in all this, but let me make it more express. The prayer of St. Francis says, it is in giving that we receive. So if you want to be treated with love and respect, and maybe sometimes given a resource like food or money that you might need, it might behoove you to do that for others, because what goes around comes around. What you give will come back to you in some form. Too, if we look at the first stanza of the prayer of St. Francis, where there is darkness, let us offer light. Where there is despair, let us offer hope. Where there is sadness, let us offer joy. So on a given day, with a person who's asking for money, you might represent for them light, joy, and hope. Your presence, your kindness, your turning toward them, your smile, perhaps giving them something tangible. That may be a lifeline that makes all the difference in the world for them. Now, if you're a Christian, and many people who are enamored of the prayer of St. Francis are Christians, and there's a lot who aren't, but if you're a Christian, Jesus said, I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me to drink. Even as you did it to the least of these, you did it unto me. So the Christian perspective is that you are literally seeing Jesus, or have the opportunity to see Jesus, in somebody who is homeless, asking for money on the street. So regardless of your religion, perhaps you can look into these people. Look at them and see, who are they really? Is there a divine child there that you might connect with, whose life might be blessed by yours, and from whom you might receive blessings that you don't expect? In summary, whatever the benefits might be to the other person, we need to learn how to give freely, how to connect, how not to turn away from people, even if we find them repulsive sometimes. It's appropriate to take our safety into account, not to do this connecting in unsafe places like dark streets at night, alone. But in the daylight with people around, it's pretty safe. I don't recommend that you take people home with you either. I've known of times that people have done that, and rarely does it work out well. That said, your faith, your heart may call you to do that, and I certainly don't condemn it, but please be careful. Plan ahead to make it easy to give. Have something with you that you can comfortably give to somebody who is asking. Could be a dollar bill, a protein bar, a box of dried fruit, a brochure with local social services, a voucher, a fast food gift certificate. That is the ticket to the connection. So you can give to somebody and say, here, I hope this helps you out. If I may ask, how are you doing? And if it comes from the heart, tell them God bless you. Thank you.